Welcome in, everybody, to nighttime edition of Postgame Show to the Philadelphia Eagles, Baltimore Ravens recap here on JAKIB Sports. Thanks, everybody, for being here. John McMullen will join me shortly. I'm hoping to talk to John. Remember, he has to go down through the stadium and talk to everybody at the press conferences, so it shouldn't be too long. I should talk to John McMullen in about 30 minutes or so. I think I scheduled the thing wrong on YouTube, so sorry about that. Everybody said it was supposed to be tomorrow. Obviously, it's going to be tonight. I will get John up in 30 minutes. I'm going to run through the observations I had from the game today before we get John McMullen up. He'll be with us, like I said, in about 30 minutes or so, and we'll talk to John McMullen, get his full recap on the game, get his full takeaways. You didn't see all the starters tonight, but I did think you saw enough to have some takeaways, enough to learn some things about this football team, and I thought overall that was a positive thing. I want to welcome everybody in tonight. Links checks in. Is John going live tonight? He will be live with us in about 30 minutes. So stay tuned. Johnny Mack will join us as soon as he wraps up the press conferences and everything in the stadium. So Johnny Mack will join us. Second half, a lot prettier than the first half, and a crazy finish, by the way, to this game. Jake Elliott misses a field goal to win the game, and then Ben Van Sumeren forces a fumble that the Eagles recover, and Jake Elliott's able to kick another field goal, a 48-yarder right through the uprights for the Eagles to win the game. So the Eagles get the win for what it's worth, and there was some good takeaways. You saw some things from Jeremiah Trotter Jr. You saw some things from Jalix Hunt. You saw some things from at the right guard position with Tyler Steen and Mekhi Becton in the opening of the game. So there was plenty to take away from the game. You saw Johnny Wilson. I thought Will Shipley had a great game. So a lot to take away from the game today. We'll get into each and everything. I'm going to start with the first half. I'm going to start with the observations from the starters. Just a reminder, those who did not play today, right? So Jalen Hurts did not play. Saquon Barkley did not play. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Lane Johnson, and that's it for the offense. They all did not play. So most of your offense, right? Most of your starting offense did not play. And then Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, Darius Slay did not play as well. So those are your defensive side of the guys who did not play. And then your guys like Bryce Huff, he only played a series. He did absolutely nothing, but he only played a series tonight, and then they moved on. So we'll get into all the recap. Like I said, for those just checking in, appreciate you all being here. Gabe's in here. Ben Gunter's in here. Justice Hilliard, Eagles fan, Lennox Hayes, Lynx Whiskers, Orbit Moon, and Real MP, and Tyson Harris. So thank you all for being in here tonight. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Appreciate you all being here. SMD, good to see you, Marie. Hope you're doing well. Braden Mann, baby. Yeah, good game for Braden Mann. So good stuff there. Let's get into the defense. Projected starters for the defense tonight were Bryce Huff, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Zach Bond, Devin White, and Reed Blankenship. They all did play tonight. And then your cornerbacks were Isaiah Rodgers at left corner, Quinyon Mitchell at right corner in the base defense, and then Mitchell in the slot, and Keely Ringo at right corner in nickel. So there was some rotating around. I thought Keely Ringo had a great night tonight. I thought he played well. There was a couple times he got beat, but I thought Keely Ringo showed very good fundamentals. I think he is going to be a great player for this football team in the future, and I was excited to see that at him. I thought Quinyon Mitchell had a solid showing tonight. I thought good stuff from both of those guys tonight. Your young corners, like I mentioned, Slay was on the bench, so you didn't get to see everybody, but I did think it was positive from that front. Nakobe Dean, I see you guys bringing Nakobe Dean up in the chat. Nakobe Dean played well tonight. I was calling for him when we were doing our live stream watching the game, and I thought he showed up. I thought he made some plays tonight, which was a very positive sign. Kenny Pickett played a lot of time. I mean, he played the full first half, and then he came in and he kind of started that second half. I think he only played a series in the second half, and then they went it over to Tanner McKee. Tanner McKee's got a good arm, man. He can throw that football, very accurate with the football. I thought he played pretty good. I kind of liked what I saw, to be honest with you, from Tanner McKee. I thought he looked pretty good out there. Eagles surrendered a big run up the middle and another first down in that first drive. Yeah, defense did not look great in that opening drive with most of the starters out there. I thought they were largely unimpressive. And that's kind of a problem. I'm not a huge fan of this defense, the style of defense. So even when you got great players, or even when they're succeeding, it looks ugly, at least in my opinion. You just kind of let teams pick up yards. You let quarterbacks throw it around the yard. It's just not my favorite style of defense, but that's a me thing. That's not the defense thing. Carter did have a deflection. I thought that was nice. And then Mitchell dropped a pick on third down to force a Ravens field goal. But boy, was that good anticipation from him. He nearly got the interception. And that was the first attempt thrown at Quinyon Mitchell. Can you imagine if he intercepted the first attempted pass thrown his way? That would have been fantastic if he was able to do that. But he wasn't able to hold in. I thought he should have made the catch, but, you got to cut the rook some slack. I thought it was pretty good stuff from him. I thought he made a good jump on the football, and that was pretty good. So good stuff there. Special teams. Let's talk a little special teams. Isaiah Rodgers and Kenny Gainwell were back. They received the opening kickoff under the NFL's new format. Justin Tucker kicked it into the end zone for a touchback, so it didn't really matter. But, I thought they did see some flashes of the new kickoff working, or at least having an impact on the league this year. But we'll see how that good. And then Jake Elliott tonight. He closed it out strong with the kick at the end, which I thought was a good thing. But Jake Elliott missed that first extra point, and then he also missed the field goal at the end of the game. He got redeemed, with Ben Van Sumeren forcing a fumble and the Eagles picking up the ball. So he was able to win the game on a field goal at the end. But if he didn't get to redeem himself, I think it'd be a pretty ugly game for Jake Elliott. But fortunately, he was able to do it with a 49-yarder for the win. So good stuff there from Jake Elliott. Let's get into the SMD says Jake the remake. I agree. Ben Gunter, good point. Hey man, it's preseason. He doesn't miss when it counts. That's true. I'm not Jake Elliott's good. I'm just saying I thought it was interesting to see him miss. Definitely shaking off some of that rust. So we'll see what they do. Let's get into some of those first half observations. I'm just kind of running through my notes. I took notes by half here, by quarter. So I'm going to go through them, in chronological order, and then we'll talk about overall reactions to the game. And John McMullen will join us as soon as he wraps up at the press conferences. So that should be shortly. Haven't heard yet from John. I would imagine it will be a little bit, maybe 15, 20 more minutes at the least. So we'll talk to John McMullen from the stadium, from M&T Bank, and get his takeaway from the game. Let's go through that first half. As I mentioned, Kenny Pickett started the game. Back-to-back completions for him. He went to Britton Covey and Johnny Wilson. I thought Britton Covey looked pretty shifty tonight. He's a guy I think they can use at that wide receiver 3 spot. He can get open. He's just undersized, man. He is a very small guy, and he's going to get beat up out there. It's the NFL. You're playing against some big dudes, and you saw it. He took the one hit on the bubble, on the wide receiver bubble screen, where he made a great cut, and he got up. I think he got 8 or 9 yards on the play and a first down, but he got hit hard, and you're going to see that a lot with Britton Covey. But, Johnny Wilson, also I mentioned Johnny Wilson. He had that first catch, which was pretty good stuff. And he's a big target, man, running over the middle of the field. He looks like a tight end out there. When he runs on the field, he is a big target, man. He's 6'6", and you can see all 6'6" of them. So here's the first unit on the offensive line I'm going to run through. Left tackle was Fred Johnson, which is interesting because he normally plays. He was playing a lot of right in practice, but left tackle Fred Johnson. Then it was Trevor Keegan at left guard. Brett Toth was your starting center. Mekhi Becton was your right guard, and Darian Kennard was your right tackle. So that was your starting offensive line. All backups, obviously. You got to see the rookie and Trevor Keegan, and then they rotated Becton out and they got Tyler Steen in there on that second rep. So, he came in at right guard on the second series, which was good. You didn't see too much from him, but the offensive line was creating a lot of holes, which is pretty good to see. Devin Wiltshire, I see you crying about things in the chat. Why don't you just go find another stream, brother? No need for you to be here. But anyway, hit the like button on your way out. Tyler Steen, as I mentioned, came in at right guard, which was good. Wilson was good tonight. I thought he had a good block. He springed that Covey forward, which was a good thing. Multiple good blocks, but he's a big boy, so he's going to have to use, that size to his advantage, especially when you're a guy that, is that big and is not going to have a top role on offense. So that's going to be good to see from Johnny Wilson. We'll see how he continues to develop. I wanted to see a little bit more use of him in the red zone, but overall pretty solid. And, back to that first couple drives, Will Shipley really stood out to me tonight. I thought he was a great physical player. I think he brings something to the team that you can't fully quantify. I think he has that. I don't know how to put it into words, but he just plays with a tenacity that doesn't show up on a stat sheet, right? I think he's I think he's one of those players, and he showed it tonight. He got the touchdown throw from Kenny Pickett, which is a great thing. So, I was excited to see that from Will Shipley. He was a guy I wasn't overly high on in the draft. I was a little skeptical of him, and I thought it was good to see him come out and do it and make some plays tonight, run hard. He definitely ran very hard. So that was very good from Will Shipley out of Clemson, the rookie out of Clemson. He was, I believe, a 4th-round draft pick. So we'll see, what his role will be for the team this year. Kenny Gainwell ran hard in that first series. I thought he ran hard. I thought he looked pretty good, Kenny Gainwell, in those opening couple series. I know, not every fan loves Kenny Gainwell, but he's a fast guy, and I think they're going to find a use for him in this offense. But we'll see. What it is at this point. To see everybody in the chat, I'm going to welcome everybody in. Appreciate everybody being here. Good crowd already in here tonight. Elon Straley, I think that's how I pronounce that. Is it Elon or Eon? Ian, I guess Ian. Thanks for being here, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate the comment as well. Shooter McGavin's in here, trolling us as he normally is. Crowley's in here. What's up, Crowley? Appreciate you being here, brother. Twiz is in here. CZ's in here. Mr. Whip's in here. What's up, brother? A lot of good people in here, so we appreciate each and every one of you being here tonight, which is pretty good stuff. Going back to that first half, talking about the first half, I mentioned Keely Ringo. I mentioned Quinyon Mitchell with the near interception he had, but I thought all of them made some pretty good plays tonight. Nolan Smith was meh for me. He had that sack, but I still haven't seen enough from him. I need him to continue to develop and make plays. Bryce Huff, SOS. Cilia was doing it all day. SOS, Bryce Huff. I mean, he only played one series tonight, but he didn't do a whole lot of anything. I'm going to ask John McMullen about that for sure. When we get Johnny Mack up, we'll see what he has to say about that. And the rest of the game. I'm excited to talk to John because he's at M&T Bank Stadium. There's not that many people there, so I think it's a good thing where John is, you can kind of see, a little bit more without the rowdy crowd. You can be more focused on the game. So I'm curious to see what John took away from the game today. I see everybody's comments, a lot of good comments. Suplex says Ringo looked good. I thought Ringo looked great tonight. Ringo has great fundamentals. He's a physical corner, and I love that in your cornerback, which is great stuff. So good stuff there. Joba, thanks for being here, Joba. Appreciate that, man. Filioso, what's up, brother? Thank you for being here. Damaray Smith checks in. Covey and Shipley surprised me tonight. Also, to see Quinyon Mitchell bounce back and make a play after the blown coverage on the first drive. Agreed. I thought Quinyon was good tonight. I think we have a good player in him. He's going to, he's got to sharpen up the edges a little bit, which you have to expect of any rookie. But overall, I think he's a great player, and I think he's going to really make waves this year and have an impact on this football team, which is going to be a good thing. We need to shore up that position. It's something that we've been weak at, and I think overall, he's a guy that can do some good stuff. So good stuff there. With Quinyon Mitchell, Covey and Shipley were good as well tonight. Lynx Whiskers checks in, says, any thoughts on the right guard? Yeah, I mean, they started with Becton and then they went to Steen. I don't think Steen is overly ready for the position, to be honest with you. I think Mekhi Becton, it's a tough swing for him to be able to play on the inside when you've been a tackle your whole life. But I think it's Mekhi Becton's job to lose at this point. I really do. They only played him one series, so, not too many takeaways from it other than I think it's going to be Mekhi Becton at this point. But I'll talk to John about that and see what he has to say and what his takeaways are on the right guard position. But, that was good stuff. Pickett and Bond barely look NFL ready. That's kind of scary. I thought Pickett was meh. I mean, there were some people talking about him. I did not think Pickett looked good at all. I thought he was mediocre at best. I thought his throws were not on time, were not even on target. I don't know. I'm not sold on Kenny Pickett. I thought Tanner McKee looked better than him. I thought Tanner McKee was better than Kenny Pickett tonight, and he was throwing to a worse crop. I mean, you're on third, fourth team offense by that point, and yeah, this is exactly true. Suplex. He says Pickett has no zip. That's so true. He's got no zip on the ball, and maybe that is because of his small hands. I mean, I know it's a joke and everybody talks about it because it is pretty funny, by the way, but he doesn't have zip on the ball. He can't grip it. He wears a glove on his throwing hand, which I don't know if any of you have ever worn a football glove. I don't know how you would throw a football with a glove on. It's pretty crazy that he does that. But Tanner McKee is a different guy. I mean, Tanner McKee is a great thrower of the football. He has a big arm. I thought he was on time and accurate tonight. And I'd like to see maybe Tanner McKee get a little bit more reps than Kenny Pickett at second, but I doubt it happens, but we will see, what they do there. Let's move into the second half. The first half was kind of a snooze fest. I think it was like 6-6 going into halftime. So it wasn't too much there other than Anais Smith, who was the punt returner at the end, and he did not look good. Anais Smith, it was not a great night. It was a good night, I thought, for all the rookies. Jalix Hunt looked good. Quinyon Mitchell looked pretty good. Will Shipley, I mentioned Will Shipley. He looked pretty good tonight. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., hello. I thought he was great tonight. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. making plays, man. I think he had 4 or 5 tackles and a sack. I thought Jeremiah Trotter Jr. was great tonight. I don't know if it was just me. I missed Trevor Keegan. I know he was out there, but I didn't see, I didn't see much from him. Donald Roan checks in and says, what are you guys looking at? Pickett was good, on time, ran the offense. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I guess you're right, Roan. I mean, he ran the offense well, but it's the passes for me, Donald. They don't look on time to me, and they look like they're behind. They're a step slow. He had a one deep ball to John Ross. I thought Ross was open. He beat the guy, and he just severely underthrows him. But I don't know. I'm not huge on Kenny Pickett, but I appreciate your comment, brother. Thank you for being here. Second half observations. Let's move into my notes on the second half. Is that what it was? 6 tackles for Trotter. Wow, that's great stuff. Yeah, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. was great tonight. I mean, he's really looked like a guy that can be something on this team. And when we drafted him, I wanted to wait in a way because I was like, look, I don't want to put too much pressure on Jeremiah Trotter Jr. with living up to his dad and getting drafted in Philly, and we have no linebackers. I'm like, let the guy grow, right? Let him develop into an NFL player. And he really looks good out there. He really does. I mean, he looks bigger, better, faster than I was expecting from him. His body's a lot more built out than I was expecting it to be. Like, he looks like an NFL player when he's out there. Most guys who are rookies and they come in, it takes a second for them to build up their body or to get up to, to NFL size. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. looks pretty good. I think he'll get bigger too. But I think he looked pretty good. McNabb fan 5 checks in, says opinion on White. Devin White, yeah, I don't know. I didn't see much from him tonight. I mean, he was out there for, I think, the first 2 series. He didn't see overall too much. There was one play I thought he plugged the gap pretty good, but he wasn't the first guy there to make the tackle. And then there was one play I thought he blatantly missed the gap, and they exploded up the middle for a 11 or 12-yard run there. So I don't know. I'm not going to make an opinion on White. I'll see what Johnny Mack saw from him. But overall, nothing crazy from Devin White. But we'll see, what he ends up doing. Suplex says that you guys got to check out Quez Watkins. Yeah, if you're an Eagle fan and you don't like Quez Watkins, or Queasy Watkins, as we call him here on JAKIB with Big Sills, you go check out his punt drop tonight. He turned the ball over on a punt, and boy, we knew it all too well. It looked like classic Quez Watkins, who just miscalculates where the ball is going to be, sticks his arms out, falls right through his hands. Classic Quez Watkins. Dropkins, as we call him. Exactly. Good stuff. P.S. Davis says running backs definitely look good, except one. He won't make the team. I thought the running backs did look good. I thought Game 1 was quick. He only played 2 series, but I thought he was very quick. I thought Will Shipley was great. I even thought the guys at the end, Tyron Davis-Price, I thought he looked good. And why am I blanking on the guy's name? Lou Nichols. I thought he looked pretty good tonight as well. I think he got the touchdown too. So I thought the running backs were a positive tonight. And I thought the offensive line was a positive, the backups. I mean, you're not playing with first string guys, and you're not playing against the best defenses, obviously. But I thought they made some big holes for the team tonight, and I thought they opened things up, and it was definitely a positive for me, the running backs and the offensive line tonight. Jameson drops in with a super chat. Jameson, thank you, brother. Appreciate you being here. All super chats will go right to the front. Looking to have good conversation with you guys as we wait for Johnny Mack, who will join once these press conferences are over. I think they are going on right now, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check where they are. Yeah, so Eagles talking right now. Looks like Tanner McKee is at the podium right now. So once they're done, once they're wrapped, Johnny Mack will join me, and I'll talk to him about his takeaways on the game. Jameson says, Covey, great. Covey played great. He is so fast. Wide receiver 3 for sure. Jameson, I thought he looked good, but boy, he is small, man. You saw the one catch he had on the wide receiver bubble screen. He had a good, it was a great play. I think he got 8 or 9 yards, nearly got a first down on the play, but he just got tackled low and just got throttled. So that's my fear with him. Derek Gunn used to call him Crash Test Covey, and I think that name is true. I don't look. I think he's good. I don't think he's going to be the everyday wide receiver 3. So I think they'll have a rotation. I think Wilson will be in there at times. I think Covey will be in there at times. I think Ross and Paris Campbell, who wasn't out there tonight, but John Ross was. Paris Campbell was not. I think they'll rotate them through, which will be a positive thing. Let's move into that second half. Ringo remained in the game, and then Eli Ricks was the other starter. Nolan Smith was in there as well. Tristan McCullum was in there at safety. Pickett remained in the game on the first drive, and then he checked down to Nichols for a loss on 3rd and 6, and then he was done. So Pickett had 1 completion in the second half, and then they moved on to Tanner McKee, who I thought was a much better player tonight. I think Tanner McKee has a chance to be quarterback number 2. I'll talk to John about that in a little bit as well. But overall, the second half I thought moved a little bit better. I thought the defense played a little bit stronger. I thought they were a little bit hungrier, it seemed. Jalix Hunt, I like Jalix Hunt. I think Jalix Hunt looks like a good player. I know everybody said, he's a developmental guy, which he is. I get it. He might not have a big impact, but I think he looks pretty good for where he is and what the expectation was of him. I think overall, when you look at a guy like that and you look at his past, he was a former safety, now playing edge rusher. He's kind of grown into his body a little bit. That's a perfect fit for Vic Fangio, a guy that has coverage skills too. He's very fast. I thought he looked good tonight. Joseph Smith says Jalix Hunt looked good. I thought I did. I thought Jalix Hunt looked very well. Looked very good tonight. So that's a good thing. I guess I'm saying Tanner McKee looked good. He was 6 of 16 tonight for 39 yards. So maybe he didn't look so good. Kenny Pickett was 14 of 22 for 89 yards. So overall, not a great night for the quarterbacks in Philly, but it is preseason football. I mean, it was classic ugly preseason football, and you're going to get a lot of that. S. Betts says she's already tired of the bubble screen. They did go to the bubble screen a lot. Sure enough, checks in 1 sack, 6 tackles for Trotter. I thought he was great. I want to hear from you guys in the chat right now. Who stood out to you the most tonight of the guys that played? For me, I would say it's Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Will Shipley. Those were the 2 guys I thought, if I go offense, defense, and then Keely Ringo would be my honorary mention. I thought Keely Ringo was great tonight. Fly Parks checks in, maybe the best press corner on the team. Fly, my favorite thing about Keely Ringo is he's obviously still a little bit unpolished, but the fundamentals of his game are tremendous. He is up. He's right in those people's faces. You can tell he knows how to play the position. He was all over dudes tonight. I mean, even that throw to the end zone, he was draped all over that guy. That guy had no chance to catch that football. And, I thought Keely Ringo looked really good tonight. But looking to hear from you guys in the chat, as I just mentioned, who stood out the most to you tonight? SMD Eagles says Shipley. Riding the bench says Trotter. Tanner had no talent, but he threw good balls. Agreed. That was my takeaway. I thought his balls were strong tonight. I thought he had some zip on his passes, which was a good thing. Pause, by the way. Axeman Jr. for sure. Ringo, Trotter, Shipley. Those are my 3 as well. Ringo, Trotter, and Shipley. I thought all 3 of them looked pretty good. Shipley and Covey for Jamison Smith. M. Reyes says Ringo balled out. Jeff Fox says Shipley. Niners all damn day says Dean. I don't know if you watched, but appreciate you being here anyway. Crowley says Nakobe Dean. Yeah, what are we thinking of Nakobe Dean tonight? I thought he played solid. I thought he made some plays out there, which was good to see from him. But I still want to see more, but overall pretty good stuff. Mad Bird checks in. Q and Hunt really impressed me tonight. Run game was solid. Agreed. I thought Quinion and Jalix Hunt were both really good, and the run game was solid. I mentioned them earlier on in the show. Shipley, Trotter Jr., Dean, Crash Test, and Braden Mann. That's a real JAKIB Sports fan right there. SMD Eagles says Crash Test. For those who don't know, that's Brenton Covey, Crash Test Covey. He is small, man. I don't know how much he's going to be able to take, if he's getting reps on an offense, not just, playing punt returner. Speaking of punt returns, Anais Smith did not look great. I don't know what Anais Smith's going to be for this team. I don't know if James Carver's up right now, but James Carver, your guy, Anais Smith, it hasn't looked great. I thought he was the only rookie tonight that I thought was pretty disappointing. But I'm going to talk to John, see what he thought, and see what he thinks of all the rookies tonight and what his key takeaways were for the game. Tyler Steen, I'm going to give you some injury updates real quick. Tyler Steen, who missed time in training camp, didn't appear to be 100% tonight. The issue might still be bothering him. He did play tonight, but I think it's still something to monitor, that ankle. And then Eli Ricks was in pain after making some tackles, so you can monitor that. I don't know whether Eli's going to make this team this year with the amount of corners they have, but we'll see, what happens with him. And then coming up next, I'm going to give you guys the rundown real quick on what's coming up next with the Eagles. Saturday, August 10th, so that will be tomorrow. It's 11 p.m. here on the East Coast. So if you're in Eastern Standard Time, it's 12 p.m. Waiting to talk to Johnny Mack now once they close up the press conference. We'll see. So Saturday, August 10th, they are off. Sunday, they have training camp practice. So they're going to have another practice on Sunday at the NovaCare complex. So we will do a live show on Sunday. Johnny Mack and I recapping the practice and what they're doing down there at NovaCare. So we'll be following along on that. And then Monday is a travel day. They're traveling down to Massachusetts. As you know, they have the joint practice next week with New England. And then they have the Thursday game next week. But Tuesday, they're going to have the joint practice. Wednesday, they'll have a walkthrough, which is closed to the media. And then 7 p.m. next Thursday, Eagles preseason game number 2 versus the Patriots. So we'll see, what they do in that game. Let's go to our chat check again. Check in with all you guys. Covey got a spot. Shipley, Def. Trotter might be above Bond and Pickett much better than McKee. Yeah, Trotter Jr., he might be a starting linebacker on this team this year just because there's not that much certainty at the rest of the position. So Abraham says Pickett much better than McKee. I kind of thought McKee was as good, if not better. The stats didn't prove it for him tonight. But yeah, I just thought he was a better thrower of the football tonight. And, I don't see a lot of zip when I see Kenny Pickett. I don't see a lot of zip on his passes. So, we'll see what they end up doing. But, we're going to continue to monitor. Crowley says my standout player was Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff was a nothing burger for me tonight. Obviously, I know you're being facetious. I know you're being sarcastic there, Crowley. But he only played one series tonight, and he did nothing. I know. You can't quantify a player off one series, but I wanted him to do something. I wanted him to make a plays. He wasn't even playing versus our starting offensive line, and I kind of expected him to make a splash. And really, the entire defensive line didn't do much in that first series, which. It's the only series that the starters got. So you were hoping to see something, and they really didn't do anything, which is tough. Sue Chick checks in. Sue, appreciate you being here. Hard to watch without the starters. Yeah, I agree. Very tough. Show enough. What's up, Show? Appreciate you being here, brother. Van Sumeren was flying around. Show, I know you're a Birds 365 watcher. Who's the one guy who's been telling you to keep your eye on Ben Van Sumeren? That's been John McMullen. He forced the fumble, by the way, at the end of the game, where, Jake Elliott was able to redeem himself. That was troublesome. Jake Elliott missed that field goal at the end of the game, and he also missed the point after. I'm like, whoa, what's going on with Jake? Jake to make, but as SMD Eagles points out in the chat earlier, it's Jake to remake. So he was able to close it out, and the Eagles win the game, which, it is what it is. But I thought it was good stuff. 16-13, they got the win. Overall, pretty happy with that. Looks like the coach or the players, I think they're still speaking. If I'm not mistaken, let me just double check on the Eagles press conference here and see what's going on. Yeah, so let me run through a couple more rundowns. Just reading some Twitter, making sure. Yeah, so they're still speaking. Let me make sure. Yeah, Nick Sirianni is at the podium now. So after Nick, I would expect to get John on the show. We'll talk to John and see what he has to say about everything. Danny Mack checks in, says Devin White. I didn't think Devin White stood out to me tonight. I mentioned him a little bit earlier in the show. I thought he was solid in one moment, and then there was another play where he just missed the gap, and they got a 12-yard run. So, I don't know what Devin White's going to be for this team, but I wouldn't expect an all-pro linebacker. I'll say that. We'll see. I don't want to write the book. I don't want to close the book on him too soon, but we'll see what Devin White can be. Yeah, Johnson recovered the fumble. Ben Van Sumeren was the guy, I believe, who forced the fumble. So both of them were in there. But yeah, Patrick Johnson was out there, former draft pick out of LSU. That looked pretty good tonight, and the guy our guy Andrew DeCecco from Inside the Birds wrote about him, earlier this week, about him looking pretty good at camp, which is a good stuff. Umberto says, what do you think Johnny Wilson's potential is? I think his potential this year is to be a contributor in the red zone and to be one of those rotating wide receiver threes. As an NFL guy, I think he has significant upside. I think he has potential to be a player in this league. I think he could be an outside player. In this league, he's big. He doesn't run like a 6'6" guy, but when he's out there, he looks like he's 6'6". I mean, even that first pass he had across the middle, I'm like, holy crap, is that a tight end? And then it's Johnny Wilson. He looks big. Fly Parks checks in. Bond looks lost. Seemed like he was lined up incorrectly. Yeah, I was hoping to see a little bit more from Zach Bond tonight, especially Fly, when you think about all the comments that came out of him, or came out of the reporters in training camp practices, that he was continuing to get the starts. He was the one that was kind of, doing everything that Vic asked him to do, but not much from him. I thought you saw more from Dean tonight, and I thought you saw more from Trotter Jr. So, we'll continue. That's obviously a position we're going to continue to monitor. 31-7 checks in. Darian Kennard. Yeah, it's Darian, not Darius. That might have been a spell check for you. Darian Kennard, I thought he did look good tonight. On the right, at the right tackle, or I think he started at left. Or no, Fred Johnson was at left and he was at right. Yeah, I thought he looked all right out over there. I thought overall, I thought the offensive line was pretty good for backups all the way through. Zander, I would like to see Nolan Smith make more plays. He got pushed around earlier in the game. He did. He made a sack later in the game. I don't know, what was he on, his third or fourth? They were on the third or fourth string tackles, so not going to make too much of it, but at least he made a play, So I think that's a good thing. Waiting to hear from John McMullen now, who's going to check in from M&T Bank Stadium. I've already been live here for 32 minutes. I thought John would be in by now, but he hasn't yet. So I'll shoot him a text and see when he's going to join. I know Nick Sirianni is still at the podium. Yeah, Nick's is still up there. So I'm monitoring that now and see. Yeah, so once Nick is done, I believe John will be up and we'll get him up, get his takeaways on the game, and then I'll publish John's separate interview from this show as its own post tonight, and John will give his recaps on the game, which will be good to hear from John. I'm waiting to see what his takeaways are, because you can only consume the game, from your perspective, and I'm watching it on TV and, reading everything I can, but when you're at the stadium, you see things differently, so that'll be good to talk to John. Sorry, excuse me. I know I'm yawning. I've been going all day, folks. We had Birds 365 at 8 a.m. Closing out strong here, though. Good to have Eagles football back on the TV. That's one of my biggest takeaways, right? Good to see the Eagles back on the screen and doing it. So my winners of the night tonight, let's do winners and losers, right? Let's do winners and losers. If you guys in the chat want to chime in with your winners and your losers, I will go over them all. Keely Ringo was a winner for me tonight. Quinyon Richel was a winner for me tonight. Jalix Hunt was a winner for me tonight. Tanner McKee, I thought, kind of a winner, maybe toting the line a little bit. Brenton Covey, I thought he was a winner. And then Trotter Jr. was a big winner for me tonight. Losers of the night, I would say Anais Smith, unfortunately. I hope he can turn it around, but, Anais Smith has been struggling. He continues to fight the football, and I think that's a tough sign for him. Thought Kenny Pickett was a loser tonight. I didn't think he looked good at all. I don't think he looked bad. I just didn't think he looked good at all. And when you're a backup and you have that chance to get out there and man the offense and be the guy, I thought Kenny Pickett was kind of a letdown. Spike checks in, says Shipley was a winner. I agree with that for sure. I don't know if I didn't mention him. Yeah, I didn't have him on my list, even though I opened the show with him. I thought Will Shipley looked great tonight, Spike. I thought he was great out there tonight. I thought he ran hard. I think he brings a physicality to the game that you can't, doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but I thought it was great stuff from him tonight for sure. Losers, I would say Matt Hennessy and Tyler Steen. Nick Gates, it's tough to tell with these guys at this point. That's why I'm excited to talk to John and see what he has to say, what he saw from everybody. He's followed everything in camp. So this is, you can kind of get a better look at guys and get a better understanding of who you're expecting to have a contribution out there and who not. So I'll talk to John in a second here. Bam says Baum was a loser. Losers were Smith and Steen. I don't want to say Nolan Smith was a loser. I just didn't think he was a winner. SMD Eagle says winners, Shipley, Ringo, Trotter Jr., Crash Test Covey, McCollum. Tristan McCollum was flying around out there. Nichols, Dean, and Braden Mann. And then her losers were Anais Smith, and you can see how she spells Anais Smith. Steen played well. I didn't really think he played well, Marina. I'm surprised you say that. I thought he played okay. I didn't think he was great, but, I thought he would be a little bit better. I think that ankle's still nagging him a little bit. So you got to monitor that. But we'll see what they end up doing there. 31-7 says, how I know White and Bonner are starters? They took them out of the game early. They didn't want to risk injury. That's a good point. I mean, they're playing Trotter Jr. late. They're playing Dean late. I think that tells you. You're right. That does tell you, what they think of them as players and where they are in the depth chart. They obviously didn't play any of their other starters late into the game. So good point there, 31-7. But remember, it is early in camp still. We're only at August 9th. The things that are today are not the final what they're going to be. Things change. So we'll see about that. Loser says White and Bond. If you're just saying the starting linebackers are a loser, yeah, I would agree. I don't think we have great linebackers on this team, and I think we need to get better linebackers on this team. And I'm curious to see if Howie will make the move and do something, but I don't know. Maybe he won't. Maybe it just becomes a Trotter Jr. thing where Trotter Jr. gets reps or N'Kobe Dean gets reps. And, very early still. So we got to see, how this all plays out. Like I said, we got the next preseason game next Thursday. They have a joint practice next Tuesday. So we should learn some things from that. And I think that will be a good thing to see. What happens in those things next week with the Tuesday practice. It's good to get the joint practice because it's like you're not playing versus your own team. You get a different team that's going to give you different looks. So overall good stuff there. Jenkins was a loser. Shipley was a winner, I think you were trying to say there. I thought Shipley was a winner. There's no way I would quantify Will Shipley as a loser tonight, no doubt about it. But Sky Hugh checks in. Winners, Q, Keeley, Trotter, Covey. Good four right there. Cunha, Mitchell, Keely Ringo. Thought Keely Ringo was great tonight. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Brenton Covey. And then losers, Pickett, Nolan Smith, and Nia Smith. Yeah, the Smiths struggled tonight. Kenny Pickett was a loser for me as well, Sky High. But, I don't want to beat him up too much. I thought he played more than I thought he was going to play. He played the whole first half and then a series in the second half. And I didn't think he looked that great. He was not no QB, no backup QB wary this year for Jalen Hurts. That's for dang sure. Not that he's ever had that, but it's obviously been a history here in Philly. That's how Jalen Hurts became a starting quarterback. So nothing to worry about with Kenny Pickett for sure. What do you think about Johnny Wilson? I thought he played okay. I mean, I thought he had that one catch across the middle, which looked pretty good. He's got to sharpen up the edges a little bit, but overall, I think he'll be all right. I think he'll be a contributor on this team this year, at least in a small role at wide receiver 3. We'll see how big it is or how much they put on his plate at this position, but at this point in his career, but we'll see. Nick Sirianni's still talking. He just doesn't shut up, Nick Sirianni, does he? Come on, Nick. I need to talk to Johnny Mack. Get out of there. But no, he won't. So I'll get Johnny Mack's take, see what he thought of, the press. I'm obviously not listening to the press conferences. I'm talking to you guys. So I'll get John's take on what was said at the press conferences and everything like that. and see what kind of he had to say tonight. Just recapping right now, looking on Twitter, making sure I'm not missing anything new. I thought Jalen Hurts would look good out there. He didn't play tonight, but I just thought he looks like he had some swagger on the sideline for sure. He always holds himself to a high standard of how he looks and presents himself, and I think that's a positive thing. He looks like a starting quarterback over there. So good stuff from Jalen Hurts, I thought, tonight, even though he did not play. Spike says, I think the starters will play next week. Spike, I'm curious to see why you think that. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't know. If anything, I think they'll scale back even more. SMD says, I'm just here to say Daz was right. Dean looked great. Is Daz in here? Where's my man Daz? Is he in here? I'd love to hear if Daz is in here. I don't know if he is, but you're right. Daz is in here. Daz, what's up, brother? You're the one guy who's been saying don't count Nakobe Dean out yet. And, I respect you for that, but still got to see a little more. But he did look okay tonight. I think 31-7 was the guy that brought it up. The fact that he was playing so late in the game, I think does tell you, where they are on him as a player. I don't think they have him as their starter yet. I'm with you, Daz. I agree. I'm happy you've been saying it. I'm happy you've been backing your man. But, oh, come on, Emraze. I didn't say that, brother. Come on, man. I said he looked like a starting quarterback. He looked like he had some swagger over there. I thought it was pretty cool to see Jalen Hurts. But Akbar checks in. What's up, Akbar? Appreciate you being here. Appreciate everybody being here. A lot of good crowd tonight, man. Over 400 watching on YouTube and another 250 on our other platforms. So thank you all for being here tonight. Make sure you guys smash that like button. John McMullen should be joining me very shortly. Waiting to hear from Johnny Mack when these press conferences end. When it's Nick Sirianni at the podium, it's like, hold your breath, because he could just go and go and go and go. And I can see he's still talking now. I don't know what he's talking about for this long, but I'm waiting to hear from John. So we'll get John McMullen's opinion on the game, his takeaways, his key players, his winners and losers. We'll get all that from John when he gets there. Yeah, Sue says he never shuts up. He really doesn't. It drives me crazy. Matt going to talk about Dean for 15 minutes. Yeah, well, good. I mean, I want to hear what he thought of Nakobe Dean tonight, because I thought Nakobe looked good. I didn't think he looked great. It seems to be he's getting a bigger, ovation, if you will, than I thought he would. I mean, I thought he looked solid. I didn't think he looked tremendous. I thought he looked okay. I thought Trotter Jr. was the best linebacker tonight. I thought he stood out to me the most. He had that sack and 6 tackles. I mean, I thought Trotter Jr. was great tonight. From a 5th-round pick, that's a positive sign for him. Obviously, he's got great coaching in his own household. There you go. Nick's wrapping up at the podium now. I don't think anybody else will be coming out. So hopefully we'll get John McMullen shortly. Nick just wrapped at the podium. So good stuff. Hopefully we'll talk to John in a little bit. I'll take a couple more questions in the chat while I wait for Johnny Mack. I gave my full rundown on the game, so I'm just going to you guys in the chat, seeing what you guys have to say. David Wilcher, who was upset about the show earlier, is still here. So, David, thanks for being here, I guess. Vic has some guys out there starting to eliminate themselves. That's old school football. That's true. Vic is going to do that, and he will let guys almost play themselves into a starting position or play themselves out of a starting position. So that's a good point there for sure. Vic definitely has that old school football. The other takeaway, that reminds me, by the way, the other takeaway I think is, it kind of shows you that Vic Fangio has some say on this football team. The offense, none of the offense played, but on defense, most of the defense played except for Brandon Graham and except for Darius Slay. That was really it. And Josh Sweat, he didn't play as well. But overall, I mean, Bryce Huff played, the $17 million edge rusher. Nolan Smith was out there. Jalen Carter got a series. Jordan Davis got a series. I thought it was great that, that showed to me that Vic Fangio has control of this defense a little bit more than coordinators have in the past. And, I think that's a good thing. I don't think we want all the suits and even just Nick Sirianni with total control, because I think, the front office is telling Nick how much guys can play. So to have a coach that's like, look, no, I'm playing my guys, and them listening, I think is a positive sign for sure. Let's check in with Daz, our Nakobe Dean guy. Go rewatch Dean and Trotter. That's all I watched on defense, where the linebackers, Dean's coverage and play recognition was on point. Dean clamped and Trotter blitzed and vice versa. They worked really well together. I agree, Daz. I thought they were great. It's a good point. I'm definitely going to rewatch some of the game tape tonight once I get off the air. I'll kind of lay in bed tonight and just rewatch the game back on my phone and see what what other takeaways are. When you're watching the game, and I'm trying to take everything in because I know I'm going to do a show. It changes how I watch the game. I got to be honest. It's hard to, catch and think about everything like I normally do. So I'll rewatch the game tonight for sure. I'm happy that Nakobe Dean had a good game tonight. Forrest Hill says, I like the Dean Trotter combo. Yeah, for sure. I mean, maybe that's what it will be. I mean, what did you guys see from Devin White tonight? I'll ask you all in the chat to check in. What did you see from Devin White? I know he only played 2 series, but, nothing stood out from Devin White to me. I don't think he looked like a bona fide all-pro, that's for sure. Daz says Devin White was flying around. 31-7 says Devin White balled out. Joseph Smith says stud. All right, well, you guys saw different things than I did. I appreciate the comments for sure. Fly Park says not much from Devin White. That was what I thought too, Fly, and I didn't see a whole lot from Devin White, but it is what it is. White blitzed one good time. Yeah, I did see the blitz. White was happy. Linderbaum was nowhere to be found. Yeah, for sure. Linderbaum is a good player, man. That is a very good center in this league. I think is he going to be good. Stratus says Ross had a good game. I thought Ross was all right. He had some good routes. I think he'll be an impact, but I think all of these receivers are going to be these rotational guys at wide receiver 3. Johnny Wilson, John Ross, even Britton Covey, who was out there. So, we'll see. Dean and Trotter played against the Scrubs. Trotter's recognition was good and his blitzing. Thanks for checking in, Marina. I thought Trotter was good tonight. I mean, remember, he's a rookie 5th rounder, so not Dean, but Trotter. So you got to give him a little bit of slack. I mean, it's not like he's a 1st-round draft pick coming in here expected to have a huge role, in year 1. So overall, I thought Trotter was good tonight for sure. He was one of my positives for sure, and Will Shipley was another positives. S. Bet says starting linebackers didn't do too much. I would agree. I mean, I thought Quinyon Mitchell looked good tonight. Obviously not a linebacker, but I thought he looked good tonight. I thought that jump pass where he jumped in front of the guy was great. Great anticipation. You could see him. He was just watching Josh Johnson's eyes the whole time, and he knew exactly where he was going with the football. So let me text John now. If I don't get John in the next couple of wins, I'm going to take a commercial break. Reset, collect my thoughts here, and I'll get John shortly. I just texted him ETA, so I'll see what he has to say or when he can check in. I know the presser is done. So, yeah, presser's done. I see that. But waiting to hear from John McMullen now. I guess the Phillies are on. I didn't even realize the Phillies were on tonight. I loaded my Twitter page up, and I see a bunch of Philly stuff. I guess here comes John. So John just texted me. He's coming now. Waiting to hear from John McMullen now. Any last comments in the chat I can take before I get Johnny Mac? Ross and Found. Thanks, fellas. I tried. I guess you're role playing as Johnny Ross. So we appreciate it. Bang Bang says Zander, who was calling plays for the offense. It was Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen. I'm tired, everybody. Kellen Moore. It was Kellen Moore. Was not Nick Sirianni. It was Kellen Moore tonight. I think Kellen Moore really looks like that offensive coordinator on the sideline. I like Kellen Moore. I've been high on him through the offseason. I think he's going to be a good fit for this team, and we'll see what he's able to do. But you're not seeing much game. You're not seeing much of the real game plan in games like this. So Chase Daniels checks in. All in all, I'm pleased with the work the front office did to revamp the secondary. I'll second that. I think that the cornerbacks were good tonight. And there's upside. There's more potential there than there's been in the past. So, I think overall that's a positive thing. Eduardo says, go to bed, young buck. I need it, Eduardo. I know you're seeing it. I'm sorry. It's rude for me to be yawning on here. I'm tired. I've been going since 8, but that's all right, man. We're talking football, right? We're talking football. So I got nothing to complain about. Juan says, and you're the man. Appreciate you, Juan. Thanks for being here, brother. Make sure you smash that like button. Mad Bird, who I spoke with earlier tonight. Mad Bird, what's up, man? Kellen's going to be good. I agree. Dad says, Ballin was the worst I've seen. You guys are blind as hell. Completely lost out there. Yeah, I didn't think Ballin was great. overall, I thought he was going to be better based on what was coming out of practice, but we'll see. Sue says you look tired. That's all right, Sue. Sometimes you got to be tired in life. Sometimes you got to earn your keep in life, Sue. Not everything is given, Sue. You got to earn it in life. Waiting to hear from John McMullen now, who's about to check in. Appreciate everybody being here, though. Great crowd tonight. 450 on YouTube. Everybody's fired up about this game. I did think you learned some things. That's the one thing I think you can ask for when you have a preseason game. Like, can we learn something that means something? And I did think you learned some things. I think you learned Will Shipley is going to be solid. I think you learned Quinyon Mitchell knows how to be a cornerback in the NFL, and I think he's going to be good. We didn't see enough yet to say he's going to be great, but I thought we saw enough, from him. I thought you saw some things from the linebackers. We talked about them. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Nakobe Dean. Daz has been parading around in the chat tonight for Nakobe Dean. So appreciate you, Daz, for being here, brother. Make sure you smash that like button. I know you've been here a long time on JAKIB Sports, so I appreciate your support of the channel, as always. Appreciate everybody's support. Again, waiting to hear from John. He said he should be here soon. If Bond is no good, who can we sign? I don't think you're going to sign anybody at this point. I mean, there's nobody left to sign, really. So unless there's a trade, which I don't see Howie doing, I mean, that would mean Howie would get rid of some of his draft capital to bring somebody in. I just don't see that happening, but, we'll see. Make sure you slam the like button, everybody. At 106, not bad, everybody. 106 likes, 463 in here, though. I think we can get that like button a little bit higher. Let's try and get to 200 likes here on the show tonight. If you're in the show, if you're in on YouTube and you're enjoying the content and you're looking forward to John McMullen, who's coming up in a second, yeah, he just texted me. He's looking for a spot, so he's working to get on. We'll see what when John gets in here. But, drop a like. Let's try and get to 200 likes. That would be huge if you guys were able to do that for me and get us up to 200 likes. That would be much appreciated. So if you're in and you enjoy the show, make sure you guys drop a like button. I'm going to check where we are. Looks like I just got Johnny Mac. Johnny Mac's in here. Let me bring John up and see if I can get John up here now. John, do I have you, brother?
Yeah. Tight press box. They redid their press box, so I'm probably going to be moving around. So just warn you, as I get kicked out of different areas, it's difficult to find a spot here. But yeah, I mean, preseason game one, it wasn't pretty, but big play. Patrick Johnson strip sack. Jake Elliott had obviously a bad day, but he kind of knew once they gave him a second chance, he wasn't going to miss it.
Yeah. I mean, John, what were your other takeaways? Let's start with the beginning of the game with the starters and the guys who were on the field early. What did you see from the starters? You didn't see much. Obviously, none of the offensive guys really played. Jalen, Saquon, AJ, Devontae, Goddard, Mailata, Landon Dickerson, and Cam Jurgens and Lane Johnson all out. But from the defensive side, what did you see from the starters at the open of the game?
Yeah, Nick kind of changed that because of the weather. And obviously the weather broke. We just got done talking to Nick Sirianni, and I think some of the starters might have played, at least for a series, if the weather was better during the day. And it turns out it got okay by kickoff, but the field was a little bit, off kilter, so he wasn't comfortable doing it. And it's kind of what I said on Birds 365. I thought, it doesn't make a lot of sense for the offense to play with this team, the starters, and the defense needs work. And I think that's what it came down to. And certainly Vic Fangio agrees with that. So
yeah,
a lot more of the defensive key players got to play at least a little bit. And they did a good job overall. Now, Baltimore obviously didn't play Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, all of their starters, and they might have the worst. They might have the worst backup quarterback situation in football, and you kind of saw that. I mean, Josh Johnson, which we know from the NFC Championship game, he's 38 years old. He's the backup. He's played with I can't even tell you how many different teams. He's the ultimate journeyman. And then you saw the fourth stringer. That poor guy comes in with 16 seconds left. They say, all right, let's try to win the game with Justin Tucker, get a decent passing play, and maybe all of a sudden he can kick a field goal to win the game. And he does the one thing you can't do in that situation. So they got a bad backup quarterback situation, and the Eagles took advantage of it, and that's part of it. And they certainly had a good day, not giving up yardage and things like that. So, anything that gives you a little bit of confidence, that's a positive. I did like what I see from Jeremiah Trotter and Nakobe Dean with the backup linebackers. I thought they showed up. I thought Nakobe played a lot better. Both as a blitzer, we've been talking about. He's done pretty well during the season with that. And then even in pass coverage, he was a little bit closer. Again, you have to realize who's the quarterback on the other side. But I thought it was a positive step. Nolan Smith got a sack. Nick Sirianni talked about him afterwards when I asked him a question about what he liked about the game and his motor and his energy and his ability to chase people down. So I think you see all of this positive stuff, and you always like to win. If you're going to play, you might as well try to win.
Hell yeah, Johnny Mac. I couldn't agree more with that. And they did get the win. Pretty crazy ending, right? You were like, I'm like, is there drama in a preseason game right now? And there was. So pretty good ending. But John, I want to go to that linebacker position. You just talked about Nakobe Dean and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I thought both of those players were pretty good tonight. I thought I was most high on Jeremiah Trotter, but maybe that's just because that's where my focus was. Let's start with Nakobe Dean. What did you see from him, specifically Nakobe tonight? A lot of people are talking about him right now.
Well, he had the good blitz. I think you saw that. Most people saw that. And it might not, I have to watch it. It might not even be a blitz because I do believe that in Nolan, that was the play that Nolan got called for defensive holding. So it might have been that zone blitz where it looks like the linebacker's coming, but he's dropping somebody else off. So I have to check that. But it was really impressive from Nakobe's standpoint getting through there. And I think you saw some of the blitzing ability that we've been talking about in practice. And then he had tight coverage on a couple of occasions, which has not been a strength in practice, where he's dealing with guys like Kenny Gainwell and Dallas Goedert at times, where, he wasn't against those types of players, but to see him have some success is just going to give him a little bit more confidence, and perhaps he gets going back on the right track. Devin and Zach were in there for a very short period of time, but I didn't see much from them. And especially early, the run support was a little bit of an issue when they were in there.
Yeah, it didn't look good at all.
So I wouldn't close the door. I saw a couple people say, Zach's out there quickly. They're treating him like a starter. He's going to watch the film, and the defensive coaches are going to watch the film as they go back on a long bus ride. And, Nakobe, I think when you watch the film, you're going to say he played pretty well.
Yeah, I agree for sure. I didn't think I didn't see much from Devin White or Zach Vaughn. There was a couple people in the chat before you got on here, John, criticizing those Zach Vaughn specifically, that he didn't look that great when you heard everything from practice. So, you think Jeremiah Trotter Jr. has a chance to start on this team, John?
Not week one, but I do think he's coming, and he's coming quickly. And
he looks pretty good, right, John? I mean, he
looked very good.
He's further along than I thought he would be at this point.
Yeah, I think he's in the conversation to play, and at least in a rotational role where maybe you say, let's give him a couple reps here, a couple reps there, and see how he handles it. And I think, it wouldn't surprise me at all if by the second half of the season he was a starting linebacker. Now, part of that is because I don't have a lot of confidence. I'm honest about that with the starting linebackers. So I think everybody's got a chance. Ben made a couple plays. He had a nice blitz, Ben Van Sumeren.
Yeah.
And he showed up in special teams, which he tends to always do. So I think they all have a chance, and that includes Nakobe Dean and Jeremiah Trotter. So, I don't expect it week one in Brazil, but he keeps getting better and better and better. And there's opportunity. I remember way back when they drafted these guys, all those fifth round picks that everybody was excited about. There was opportunity. That's what I said. There was opportunity at linebacker,
Yeah.
opportunity at third receiver with Anaya Smith, opportunity at guard with Trevor Keegan. And that's what they have. Sometimes you don't have that opportunity. Um, tackle, if you draft a tackle, they don't have an opportunity.
Right.
So these guys are at positions where there will be opportunity to get more playing time.
We're going to dive deeper into the defense in a little bit, but John, let's move over to the offense for now. What stood out to you on the offense tonight? I got two guys. I'll let you go. You don't have to talk about these guys, but two guys stood out to me on offense tonight. Will Shipley and Britton Covey. Those are the two guys I have tonight. What did you see from the offense tonight?
Well, I think it was the running game in general. I think it started with Kenny Gainwell. Kenny was great.
He was great in the first two series.
Yeah.
I said that, John. Yeah.
And then they sat him. So he was great, and Will was great. And even in the second half, you saw Lou Nichols get some runs. You saw Ty Davis Price get some runs. Even at the end of the game, Kendall Milton was getting some runs. So there was consistent running game, which also speak to the backup offensive lineman, because everybody sat but Mekhi Becton. And those guys, and Keegan was a big part of that. Tyler Steen was a big part of that, opening up holes and letting the running backs get going. But I was really impressed with Kenny. I was really impressed with Will Shipley, and kind of the opposite with the receivers, except Britton Covey. And I'm like, at some point, these other guys, man, they just don't get separation. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, that kid, Nate Wiggins, looks, he's a first round pick. A lot of people wanted the Eagles to take him. They didn't think Quinyon Mitchell would fall to 22. So a lot of people had him going to the Eagles at 22. I mean, in the first drive, Johnny Wilson, Joseph Nada, John Ross, he was like a blanket on all three of them.
He really was. I said I was live, John, on the air, and I said this guy is looking. Nate Wiggins, cornerback out of Clemson, I think he was the 30th overall pick this year. He was locking them down. I mean, I think he got beat a little bit later on.
Yeah, he did quarter. A little bit, but he's a young player, but
he was a blanket out there for sure.
Yeah, and it was the three different guys, and it's like Covey's the only one who gets separation, and that continued. Even Jacob Harris, who's got a crazy speed for his size, I thought, well, he's going to be able to run away from people at times, but he couldn't generate any separation. That still, to me, is everybody talks about safety because Simmons is out there and all that stuff. But if there's one position they're going to go outside the organization, I still think it's wide receiver, because I think it's really bad outside AJ and Devontae. And it's they don't seem to want to give Britton Covey a chance. Now, he took a bunch of first-team reps today as the slot receiver, and he's limited to slot, and they want a more well-rounded guy. But guess what? If you don't have one, play your best guy. And right now, Britton Covey is your best guy.
John, the other thing, though, I got to bring it up when you're talking about Britton Covey, he does get the separation. I thought that the bubble screen was great, but at the end of the play, you just see him he just got lit up. And I'm just like, I don't know how long he's going to be able to take these NFL hits. He is a small dude, and I don't know how long he's going to be able to do it. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons they're hesitant about keeping him in there.
Yeah, I mean, that was a problem as a rookie. He really curtailed that last year. I didn't see the hit you're talking about. I'll look at it. Sometimes
it was just, he got the ball. I think it was a wide receiver bubble screen, and he got close to the first down, and, he got hit low.
He did, I know.
Yeah, he just flips, he's just small. He's just a small dude.
Well,
these are big dudes hitting him. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at him, you fear for his life. I get what you're saying, but I was too focused on he made something of the bubble screen, and they never
Yeah.
make something of the bubble screen.
It's so true.
And I'm like, he can make the first guy miss because he's a punt returner. He's used to it. And you're right. I probably didn't watch the end of the play. Maybe he did get whacked, but I know he can generate some offense. And look, I always say he can't legislate injuries. He's out there. He's playing. He wants to play. He wants a bigger role. He's good at protecting himself. He's tough. When he does get hit, you saw that in his rookie season. I mean, I can't worry about that. I can't say, oh, he's too small to get hit.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then he shouldn't be on the team. And he certainly deserves to be on the team.
Yeah, so we'll see what they end up doing. John, let's keep it on the offense a little bit and talk quarterbacks. What did you see from the – I mean, I thought it was interesting how long Kenny Pickett played. We didn't even get to see Will Grier. What were your takeaways from the two quarterbacks that played
Well,
tonight?
that's a good thing. I mean, Will's not – and I'm not picking on Will Grier. It's just he's not going to be there. So what's the value? These are live reps. I want to see Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee. So I think the Eagles handled that perfectly. Kenny played the whole first half, came out the third quarter to sort of mimic that coming out of halftime that all quarterbacks have to go through if they're a starter. And then they went to Tanner McKee. So I think they did it the right way. I think they both played pretty well, but, it was boring. It was vanilla. It was everything the fans said they hate about last year's offense. Now, it's the preseason, though. I mean, you didn't see the motion. You didn't see all the bunch stuff that you're going to see when things start for real. But maybe they threw one pass 15 yards down the field.
I know.
Everything was it was just boring. And guys couldn't get loose. And when we talk about the Nadas of the world and the Johnny Wilsons of the world who can't generate separation, well, you're not helping them by never threatening the defense over the top. You got guys jumping routes on guys who don't have a lot of ability to generate separation on the first part. So it was kind of ugly. I think their longest pass play of the night was 11 yards, which is brutal. Now, again, AJ's not out there. It's not something to be concerned about. Jalen's not out there. Most importantly, is the quarterback.
No, but from a viewership perspective, it's tough to watch.
Yeah, it really was tough to watch. It was really an ugly game. But I thought with all the hamstrings of all of that, I thought they both played pretty well. And I think it's pretty clear that Kenny Pickett's better than Marcus Mariota. So you've upgraded at backup quarterback. And I think it's pretty clear that the Eagles won this game because their third string quarterback was better than Baltimore's third string and fourth string quarterbacks.
Yeah. The one takeaway I would also have, and not that it means much at this point, but when that ball comes off the hand of Tanner McKee versus Kenny Pickett, it looks a lot different coming off of Tanner's hand than it does off Kenny. There's not much zip on the ball with Kenny Pickett. I don't know if it's because of the glove or the hand or whatever it is, but Tanner McKee can really rifle football. I don't see it with Kenny Pickett. I don't know if that will have any impact on, who's the quarterback too. I think it's going to be Kenny Pickett, but I will say Tanner McKee looks like he can throw that football.
Tanner's 6'6", and he's got a stronger arm.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably got a stronger arm than Jalen Hurts, but that doesn't mean he's better than Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's probably got a stronger arm than Tom Brady. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't mean
but he does obviously, and that's what you generally when you have 6'6" quarterbacks, they can spin it. Yeah, they can spin it. And he can do that. But, you didn't get an opportunity to do it. So, that kind of limits him as well if you're not going to give him that opportunity or you don't have the supporting cast to give him that opportunity. Plus, if you do see there's a lack of consistency, there are a couple throws where, and that's general with all young quarterbacks that were off target because, the mechanics aren't consistent from play to play. So he's a good developmental quarterback, and that's what you want with your third string quarterback. And that's what he is. And that's a good position to have, but he's still got a ways to go.
Good stuff there, John. Let's talk about some rookies. I thought overall it was a great night for most of the rookies tonight, except for one guy, and it was Aniyah Smith. But just run through the rookies for me. What did you think about the rookies? Jalix Hunt was getting some love in the chat. A lot of people liked what they saw from Jalix Hunt. What did you see from the rookies that got out there tonight?
Yeah, I think Quinyon you saw, and he started outside because Baltimore was in, the Eagles were in, not nickel with the extra cornerback on the field. So their base looked in the secondary. So he started outside and then he moved inside. So he played both. And that's an indication, by the way, when they get to the regular season, if they only have two cornerbacks on the field and there's no slot cornerback on the field, he's going to be on the field as the right cornerback. So I thought that's where we'd be. If we're going to get there. When it turns into full time, I'd be happier, but at least he's going to be out there, and then he'll move inside. I think you learned that tonight. Now Slade didn't play, so Isaiah Rodgers moved over to the left side to start. So in theory, when Slade's out there, Rodgers will be at the right corner. When they're in the nickel, Mitchell will be in the slot. But if they only have two on the field, I think it's going to be Slay and Mitchell, and that's probably a good thing. So he played very well, had a chance to get an interception.
Yeah, that was beautiful though to jump that route. I know everybody wanted him to make the interception, but that was a beautiful play by him.
Yeah. So all positive from him, which is no surprise. Yeah, Nick mentioned Jalix Hunt as well. He showed some juice as a pass rusher, and I said maybe he's a natural, man. Maybe you can't throw that out the window. And the more pass rushers you have, the better. So I think it was all positive from him. Will Shipley was, he might have been the player of the game when he contributed running the football. He caught the touchdown. He made plays on special teams, had a kickoff return. He did it all. So he might have been the player of the game. So all positive there. And then the fifth rounders, I thought Trotter was tremendous. I thought Keegan was tremendous. And our boy, I don't know if James is there, our buddy James Carver, I'm trying to get Aniyah Smith on this team. He's making it very difficult for me. He's just playing poorly right now. I was hoping maybe, he was the Eli Ricks this year. Maybe he's not that good in practice and maybe he shows up in the game, but he struggled again. He did have the one good third down catch that Nick mentioned. So there was at least some positive, but I think overall wasn't good from his standpoint. And then Dylan McMahon, man, that offensive line, second, third team, they dominated. I mean, Gainwell ran the ball well. Shipley ran the ball well. Lou Nichols ran the ball well. Ty Davis-Price ran the ball well. Kendall Milton ran the ball well. When you have that consistency, I talk about Kenny all the time. He's the most underrated player on this team. But when you have that consistency for everybody, it then shifts to, all right, the offensive line is moving people. So I think they did a good job. And Dylan was a big part of it. And I think Johnny's I don't think he played well. But I don't think he played poorly either. And that's the player he is. He's a big 6'6" guy who's not the fastest guy in the world. So he's not going to be a separation guy. He's going to be the contested catch, red zone, that type of guy. And there just wasn't those opportunities today.
Yeah, I agree. I thought good breakdown there on the rookies. I thought they all looked pretty good. The one, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. was the best for me. You mentioned, Will Shipley. I thought he looked great out there tonight. But, we're going to see. I think they all have John, I wanted to ask you. You brought him up already, but I didn't see anything from him. Maybe it was just because I missed it or I wasn't focused on him. You said Trevor Keegan was tremendous. What did you see from him tonight?
He was, when you see those early Kenny Gainwell runs and the early Shipley runs that broke a little bit, and most of Kenny's did. He only had 4, but it was 4 for like 23, I think. So it was almost 6 yards a carry. It was, Keegan was a big part of it. He was opening up some holes. So, and it was obvious getting the overhead view. I thought, it's tough to judge offensive linemen in the moment, but I thought it was pretty clear that he played a pretty good game.
Yeah, pretty good stuff there from him. John, who are your biggest losers of the game tonight that you thought?
I would have said Jake. Rarely, you never talk about.
Yeah,
Jake,
that's
obviously,
you know what. Let's talk about him though, real quick. I did, I thought that was interesting, John.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not concerned about it, but I mean,
No, I'm not either. But he missed a field goal and he missed a point after, and it's very unlike Jake Elliott to do that. I guess he's got a little bit more rust than usual.
Yeah, and he hit the upright, and he hit the upright again on the 50-yarder, and then they gave him the ball right back, and you knew he was going to make the 49-yarder, and he did. He'll be fine. But I was just saying, for in a ecosystem of one preseason game, obviously he wasn't having a good game until he hits the game winner late. I thought the third down offense was terrible all night, and that's because they couldn't throw a third down offense, if I said that correctly. They couldn't convert a third down. I think they started 1 of 6 or 1 of 7. And they didn't start clicking until that big 17-play drive when McKee was out there, and they converted like 3 third downs. But overall, they were just really poor. And I'm thinking to myself, look, as you pointed out, I mean, Jalen's not out there, AJ's not out there, Devontae's not out there, Dallas isn't out there, Saquon's not out there, the 4 offensive linemen aren't out there. So it's nothing to be worried about. But, you just see the expectations that are going to be on Kellen Moore. Like, you can't go 1 for 6 if those guys are out there on third down, especially when you finish third in the NFL in third down offense with an offense that everybody thought was terrible. The expectations of this team offensively, I'm concerned about them. And I'm concerned about them because I don't think they're realistic. And I don't think people understand that this team collapsed under the weight of expectations last year. So to think they won't do it again, they might.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to follow it all year long. John, I'm going to end it with you here soon. We'll get a couple more questions here. I got a super chat, which might be the most important question. I'll get to that in a second. But John, any other players that stood out to you? A lot of people talking about, safety Tristan McCollum. I thought he looked pretty good tonight.
Yeah, he looked
Hall,
pretty physical.
I think he might have been on the loser list. And then I also want to talk to you about the right guard position. I know you didn't see much from the starters, but it went Becton and then it went Steen. I'm not sure if we learned anything more about how that position might break out.
No, I don't think we'll know more. Obviously, Becton is the starter now, even though Nick is not going to admit it. And now Tyler Steen has to chase him down. And he didn't play much. He just started the game, played a little bit, and then Tyler Steen came and played the rest of the first half. And I thought he played well. As I said, they were running the football really well, and they were pass protecting pretty well as well. So I think the whole group played pretty well, and that includes Tyler Steen. He did have a holding call, and he did seem to be laboring at times with the ankle. So I think he's still fighting through that as well. But I think it's pretty clear that Mekhi Becton has taken the lead in that battle.
Yeah, I would agree with that. John, let's talk about those other 2 guys, Tristan McCullum and Tyler Hall. What did you see from those guys tonight?
Well, Tristan, yeah, he was very physical. I think you saw him really sticking his nose into things when it came to tackling, and you can see some of the athleticism he brings to the table. So I thought it was positive for him, and Hall had that big missed tackle, really bad in the open field. So I'm sure everybody saw that. That gave up a first down. Really helped Baltimore tie the game when they were looking just awful offensively. And that gave them a big conversion. So, yeah, probably not a positive day for him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. John, any other takeaways, any other key things that we didn't talk about that you took from this game?
The tush push, doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter who, there's no
It was
Jalen.
ugly, but they did it.
Yeah, there's no Jalen. There's no Jason. They're doing it once with Kenny Pickett. They did it once with Tanner McKee. Yeah, that's still going to be a big part of things. And it's only going to get better, obviously, when Jalen's out there and the key offensive linemen are out there. So that's not going anywhere.
Good stuff, Johnny Mac. Thanks for being here. One super chat, John. We got Brian Fleming checks in. He says, Johnny Mac, where are you getting the crab cakes? John, are they on the agenda?
No, it's too late now. We were all focused on if potentially they canceled the game because the early weather forecast was pretty miserable.
Yeah.
It cleared up again. It was sunny at kickoff. So that never materialized. So, yeah, everybody's dead at this point. It's just about getting home. No crab cakes for Johnny Mac today. I did have crab dip here at close. They didn't have crab cakes, so I got close.
All right, I'll take a crab dip. I mean, that's a fair compromise for not leaving.
And it
right?
wasn't your typical crab dip either, because there was a lot of crab in it. So
okay, so it was an actual crab dip. It wasn't, crab natural flavoring.
Yeah. No, it was real crab. So
all right, that's good stuff. John, on your way out the door, I want one winner and I want one loser from the game today.
Well, the winner, I got to go with Will Shipley. As I said, he's got to be my player of the game. Just doing it in all three phases: running, receiving, special teams.
He looked great. He looked really good.
Yeah, I thought Kenny was the best player, but he was out there for a very short period. And Will did more. He played more. He did more on different teams. So I go Will Shipley. As far as poor, that third down offense, I think, was really bad today. And like I said, started 1 of 6 or 1 of 7 in the first half. And yeah, it was ugly. And I think Baltimore was 0 for 5. So it was ugly. It was ugly football in the first half.
Yeah, how about a player though, John? How about a player on the negative side?
Player on the negative side, I would say Zach Bond early did not look good in the run game.
One other guy, John, Bryce Huff, he didn't show up. He was only out there for a series, but
yeah, he was only out there for series. But yeah, he didn't do anything. But but when he was out there, he wasn't making big mistakes. He just wasn't making plays. There were some mistakes in gap control with Zach that I think were pretty obvious.
Yeah, right. That are out there. All right, John. Thank you for checking in, brother. Who you riding home with? I know you got the ride home with the boys.
Same group. Jeffrey Kerr, friend of the show. Ed Kratz, my partner, and Frank Martin.
Oh, nice.
Maybe he'll turn into Frank Martin on the way.
I didn't know who the fourth was. So make sure you send my regards to all of them, all friends of the show. All 2 of those guys we talked to this week. So have a great ride home. Hopefully you guys can, break down the game as much as you possibly can.
We don't want to talk about this game.
And maybe take some crab dip to go, Johnny Mac. Thanks for checking in tonight, man. We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Andrew.
All right, John. There's Johnny Mac joining us on nighttime edition here of the show. Great stuff from John McMullen. I love talking to Johnny Mac about football. I really do. I think he does a tremendous job covering this football team. I think he's tremendous in his how he analyzes a game. I think he's fair. I think he's objective, and he makes a whole lot of sense when he talks about the game. So I absolutely love talking to John McMullen about football. Great show tonight, everybody. Can we get the 200 likes? I mean, we have like 550 people watching, and we can't even bust 200 likes. Come on, man. Can we get some love on the channel? Can we get 200 likes on the show tonight? Where are my loyal people that are here every day. You guys got to help me get this sucker up to 200 likes. I can't end the show until we're at 200 likes. We have 185. I don't think I can end the show until I get 200 likes. So there's 188. Come on, boys. Come on, girls. Let's get us up to 200 likes. Overall, guys, good game tonight. Eagles got the win, which, hey, when you play a game like John McMullen said, you want to win, right? I mean, even if you don't care, you want to win. I mean, that's life. That's part of being competitive in life is wanting to win no matter what you're in, no matter who you're playing against. You want to win. I want to win in everything I do in life. I would imagine every one of you wants to win. We want our football team to win, and we got the win tonight. So overall, good stuff. I thought John McMullen brought great points, great breakdown, 202 likes. There you go, man. Thank you all so much. The support of the channel this week has been tremendous. I can't thank you all enough for being here, for supporting, for spending time. Time is finite, everybody. And when you spend it here with me, I can't thank you enough. I wish I could quantify it, how much I appreciate the support. We spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time working on this channel and pouring everything into it. And when you guys do it, it means the absolute world to me. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I thought we had a fantastic day of content. Before I get out of here, I do have to do one thing on the back end in production so that I can get the clip of Johnny Mac ready to fire on the channel. So if you missed John's full interview, John will be on the full interview will be on the channel tonight. So looking forward to getting that posted up for you guys so you can see the full Johnny Mac interview, and that's going to get posted on the channel tonight, as I mentioned. So thanks, everybody, for being here. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. I think we busted well over 200, up to 211, man. You guys are the absolute best. So thank you guys for doing that. I'm going to run a commercial break on the way out, and then we will catch you all. By the way, no practice tomorrow for the Eagles, but Sunday they are on at NovaCare Complex. So we will be live again Sunday. And then next week, obviously, they travel to New England for the joint practice and for the preseason game. So thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. Appreciate all of you guys. Twiz, Forrest, appreciate you, Forrest. Eduardo Reza's in here. Appreciate you, Eduardo. Bang Bang Philadelphia, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for being here. Daz, appreciate you. Appreciate your support of N'Kobe Dean. Good job by you. El Yepa. Stratus is in here. SMD Eagles, I think I mentioned you. Twiz the Jigga. Ricky Hanks. Spike 23. Spike, thanks for being here, brother. Brian Fleming. Bruce Banner. Appreciate all you guys, man. You guys are the absolute best. Appreciate everybody. Hit that like button. We'll catch you on Sunday on JAKIB Sports.
You've been listening to Birds 365.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Is the best vacation one that you find, or one you get lost in? One that takes you to new heights, or reminds you to go with the flow? To get your feet wet and your wheels spinning? One that lets you find your own rhythm, or get carried away? Find the best of yourself. Get lost in the woods. Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Up. And go Birds.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.